Hello, my name is Hannah Benavente, and this is my multi-model reflection for ED662 Second Language Testing and Evaluation. Throughout my presentation, I will be talking about my 3 takeaways. 1. Why do we assess? 2. Evaluating and supporting ELL students. And 3. Designing assessments. Number 1. Why do we assess? Assessment is important because, in a culture of evidence, assessment is a necessary and integral part of greater student achievement. It becomes a tool for improvement to improve learning, teaching, and the curriculum. The questions that we were assigned to answer for week 1 helped me reflect on the following. Firstly, the various ways and experiences of how I test in my own classroom through the use of formative and summative assessments and common formative assessments, AIMSweb, and Smarter Balance. Next, it helped me understand the different types of assessments and their purposes, such as diagnostic tests, summative and formative assessments, and norm reference tests and criterion reference tests. Also explaining the importance of using student-friendly rubrics and learning scales. And thirdly, it helped me identify several evaluation methods that have worked for my classroom and my students, such as using quick checks, exit tickets, and digital assessment tools such as Kahoot! And IXL. Additionally, I also take note of discussions from students, whether it be during class, group, and partner discussions. The common formative assessments that students are given are also a great way for me to gauge my students' understanding of a lesson and unit, and it helps me identify their strengths and weaknesses. Number 2, evaluating and supporting ELL students. Questions that we were tasked to answer for week 3 helped me gain a better understanding of how I could better support my ELL students when it comes to assessments. The first question was, what are the main limitations of multiple choice tests for ELL students, and why might alternative assessments be more effective? Multiple choice tests really limit not only the ELL students, but students in general, as it really aids in helping them get the correct answer, regardless if they have the necessary knowledge or skills of a lesson. Alternate types of assessments like short answers or essay writing allow students to construct their own answers and give the teacher a better gauge on their level of learning and understanding of a lesson or concept. Through this, students should be able to practice what they learn, give evidence of what they gain from the lesson, and allow teachers to better identify what they may need more help in. The second question asked to define authentic assessment and explain why it's important in the context of language learning. I learned that authentic assessment promotes student-centered learning experiences involving application of one's knowledge and skills in real-world problems, situations, or scenarios. This type of assessment is important and beneficial because ESL students are able to activate prior knowledge and experiences to help them better learn and understand what is being taught. And number 3, designing assessments. Through my assignments of designing assessments, I was really able to learn Bloom's taxonomy and put what I learned to practice. All my assessments were introduced and given more information on. Here is an example of my reading assessment where I told what the subject was, what skill the students would be assessed with, what grade level, what standard, and the learning objectives that I would like students to be able to do by the end of this lesson and test. The next part of my tests usually involved definition and identification. Here's an example of my grammar assessment where part 1 was to remember and match vocabulary words to correct definition, and part 2 was to understand by identifying and circling the adjective that best completes the sentence provided. Other parts of my assessment included reading and application. And for this, I've used an example from my writing assessment where students were provided a reading passage and then they were to write what lesson or moral can be interpreted from the story, explain what it is, and how the main character demonstrates this lesson through her thoughts and actions. So through this, they'd apply what they read and learned. And through the designing of my tests, I was also able to explore many types of resources. For my speaking and listening assessment, as an example, I had pulled a YouTube video of a read aloud of a story called The Word Collector, where students were to listen and create their own short story using the list of words they remembered from the read aloud. Through these assignments, I really learned how to creatively and efficiently create assessments that not only were used for this class, but what I can later use with my own students as well. And for that, I am very grateful. Thank you.